Jason. Go.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Watercooler, episode number 263.
As Say is doing her rendition of Vanilla Ice's "Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go."
Exactly. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the show and about all the things that are going on in this, just so you kind of get an idea that we're changing up the formats here a little bit. And I want to go around the room and get everyone introduced. George, alphabetical order, you're first.
Ah, crap. Well, if we're talking about the show on the show, I suppose may as well. Hi, I'm George Pines. I work at Automatic on Jetpack doing all sorts of shiny things, and I'm the lead organizer for WordCamp Lancaster, PA, which is in just over a week from today. So, yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Awesome. Good to have you on, George. Jen Miller, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Jen Miller. I own Need Someone to Blog and NeedSomeoneTo. And I am an organizer on Orange County and Los Angeles WordCamps.
Awesome. Good to have you on. Jim, how about you?
Hey there. I'm Jim Walker, the hack repair guy, and this is Willow back there watching us talk. Not sure
your plant? Is that your plant?
No, that's Willow, the African gray parrot. He's back there.
Yeah,
I think he's just pointing at a
plant.
Nice.
Can you see his little head and his red tail?
Okay. I just see a plant, but we're good.
Get off the screen. All right, whatever. Move on.
I believe you that you have a parrot. Just want you to know that.
Say, what about you? Tell us about your parrot.
No, I don't have a parrot. But I totally believe Jim has a parrot, and I appreciate that. And a plant also. Also appreciate the plant. Who am I? It's a good question. I've been asking it a lot lately. My name is Say Reed, and I continue to make WordPress, preach WordPress, teach WordPress.
I was really expecting you to go with like the "Who am I? I'm Jean Valjean."
I think that's a little dated. You have to make like Hamilton references now. And I haven't seen it yet, so I'm like super out of the loop.
Roots, Say, come on.
Well, let's go chase people for bread.
Steve, you have one shot at this. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Steve Zengen. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the IC WordPress.
Awesome. Good to have you on, Steve.
So well. He runs it so well. He's there at the campus working on it right now.
Dang, Steve.
I was talking about the meetup. But
What's running so well, you better go catch it.
WordCamp Orange County.
Oh, right. That's the Orange County thing. Yeah, Orange County. WordCamp. I'm
Yes,
doing well.
checking out our venue.
Oh, you guys. Cheers.
But
awesome.
in April.
In fun news.
Wait,
WordCamp
I
Orange
gotta
County.
introduce myself. Hello, I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog, and we do a couple shows here on WP Watercooler Network. We do WP Watercooler, which happens here on Fridays at 11 o'clock Pacific. We also do a show called WP Blab, which happens on Thursdays. And you can go take a look at those different shows as well as many others that we do on WP Watercooler Network. I would appreciate if you did so. This particular episode is brought to you by Jen Miller. Jen Miller, she's awesome. Go over to her website at NeedSomeoneToBlog.com and
What?
Yeah.
Or NeedSomeone.com. All right,
Wait,
folks.
is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're an official sponsor?
I'm an official sponsor.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. That's so
You said
amazing.
it couldn't be done.
That's why I had to be on the show. I had to check it out and make sure it was, worthwhile. So make it a good one, guys.
Hold on, you're checking your investment right now? I should have been informed way earlier about this scenario, just for the record.
She wanted to pay.
So, I mean, that's got to be like positively, for all our 3 viewers. I mean, that's one heck of a return on investment.
Exactly.
There's thousands, George, thousands.
Well, in all fairness, her sponsorship was $3, so that's $1 per viewer.
Well, you know what? We're moving up in the world.
There are
Hey,
dozens
look
of
who
us
we
saying,
got.
Hey. Nice.
We got a late comer. We got a late comer.
Russ, tell us about yourself real quick.
I'm Russ. I work at WebDev Studios and maintain, and I do all the stuff with WordPress, but not with Say because we do 2 different sides of the house. Welcome.
Wait, when did that happen? When did we start building in different sides of the house?
You and me have 2 different houses, according to Reno in 2013.
Oh yeah, but I mean they're not in the same like development track, but they're they were built in the same year, so they have the same standards.
It's a gated community. I get it.
We may be taking this.
You do not want to deal with the WordPress
right,
Homeowners Association is all I'm going to say.
Look, we
Right.
we don't have a topic, and this is what happens, huh?
I'm okay with
So
that.
speaking of not being on topic,
Yeah, exactly.
see what I
So
did there? See what I did there?
You know, we've been doing WP Watercooler for 4+ years now, and at this point, are we 5? Is it 5? Oh my gosh, this
Wow.
is 5.
We're
5 years in
We are
September.
old.
Oh my goodness, we are the old.
It was September 2012 that we started.
So
Wow.
we've been doing
Welcome.
WP Watercooler for that long now, and at this point, we thought, you know, we've discussed everything 3 or 4 times now at this point, and we need to kind of freshen up, put a new coat of paint on this thing, and kind of a little bit talk about some new things, get some sponsors, get some people to hang out with us and talk about all sorts of things, open it up so we don't have any topics, and so we don't have a
less
topic
structure.
today.
We went for less structure. That was the direction we went in. Was that a good choice, audience?
Well, what's
What do you
hilarious is that we, you know, during our
Wait,
pre-show, we would
You're
never
assuming
talk
we
about the
had
show before the
structure
show.
before.
What's that?
You're assuming we had some structure before.
Hey,
There's
unstructured is
always
very
a
in
topic.
right now. Okay.
Well, we
right,
would
we're
never
all trying
talk
to be
about the
nice.
show before the show, so that was always an interesting thing. So we would never come up with we'd have a topic, but we talked about, you know, a couple days earlier and said, yeah, let's do this as our topic, but we've changed it up a bit. So I hope that
So
things
this is-
help people out a little bit, because we can get more folks to come on the show and not feel like, oh, I don't talk about form plugins, or I don't talk about e-commerce. I do this other thing instead.
This is our attempt to get back to our roots, as you were saying earlier, George. But our roots of the water cooler was really us getting together to chat as if we were around the metaphorical water cooler that we did not have in our spaces there, because we were all kind of working in our own, you know, environment. So this is like the metaphorical water cooler of the WordPress world. And what we really wanted to connect with, getting back to here, was just kind of that more informal feel, where we're not like, we're talking about forms today, but that we come with stuff that's happening in the world, we come with that day's stuff, and we're giving the fresh, kind of just off the cuff, what's on our minds right now perspective, like you would at a water cooler.
What
Just
what
some
I
fun.
like what I like about this, Jason, is that, like, you know, before the water cooler, we never talked about the show, so like nobody could, you know, claim ownership of doing the joke about plugins or doing the joke about Yoast, because we all wanted to make that joke. I think this is going to solve that, and, you know, at least it gets divvied up.
Yeah,
Equal
that's
joke
the reason.
access. Yeah, it was really for joke equality. Is really
But
what we were.
no, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we're going to talk about backups, and like we all know we're like, who's going to win to get in to talk about Backup Buddy, and like who's going to talk about whatever.
It's
Like,
not a contest, Russ.
I wasn't
You know what
arguing
is a
that,
contest?
There is a contest coming up that
You
we
know
need
what
to
is
talk
a
about.
contest, Jen? Jen, why don't you tell us
Somebody
about that
picked up on my segue.
contest?
So at WordCamp Orange County, we're going to be having Plugin-A-Palooza. And the deadline was today, but I think, Steve, we were going to maybe extend that so we could get a few more entries.
Maybe you
That's
guys know
right.
somebody that you could,
We-
like, you know, put a word in with.
We are going to extend the deadline. It will be announced today.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, you heard it here
Or
first,
you mean
people.
it was just announced today? Bam.
Boom.
Yeah.
Oh,
I believe this is called hashtag breaking news. Thank you very much.
that's the whole point of the show, right?
Oh, absolutely. We are
I think the whole
breaking.
point of the show is faking news, but
5 years in, we're
Everything
probably stop
we say on-
promoting.
Everything we say on here is not fake news, so let's not. No, we're real
one-
news. It's just
One thing we
Yeah.
should mention about Plugin-A-Palooza is that the prizes were increased this year, big time. So first prize for Plugin-A-Palooza is $3,000.
Dang.
$1
$3,000
bills, y'all.
that'll pay for a logo, maybe.
Brought to us by Security.
Oh, come on. That'll pay for a lot of logos. You just go on a Fiverr, pay $5, and
No,
then you get a
Bad
logo.
web developer.
Raining logos.
Bad web developer. Do not do that. No.
you can
No.
buy a lot of add-ons on Fiverr for that.
Oh,
A lot of gravity.
I would like to hashtag sarcasm that whole thing.
I will dance. I will dance while I'm making your logo, you know?
Hey, Jen, one thing you had mentioned, and I don't want to spoil any amazing blog stories, blogs that you might be doing, but
Well, you're about to.
is that bad? Can I? Because I really want to.
Go ahead.
This is dear to my heart. One of the things you were mentioning earlier about Plugin-A-Palooza, which I thought was just super cool, was that the first year we had someone who won that has really done something with that. Can you talk to that point?
Well, Devin Walker was the one who developed, I think he...
Rollback.
for-
Rollback.
What?
It was Rollback.
It was
Rollback?
WP Rollback, right? Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't give. Or is it my
No.
information
Oh,
incorrect?
see, so we had the wrong information.
Are you glad we sourced that right
Yeah,
now?
we figured it out, so now we know we need to say. There's
Yeah,
one more.
because the water cooler isn't fake news at all.
No, it's fact checking. We're fact checking with crowdsourced facts. That's what we're doing right here. This is the future of news. Oh, that's not true? Okay, just kidding. Don't believe that. That's fine.
Anyway, there have been lots of success stories. The
But-
Plugin-A-Palooza contestants, and that's what we're going to be talking about is what are these people doing now and where did the plugin go?
But to that end, Devin, who may have won for WP Rollback, has since rolled that into creating Give, which is one of a hugely successful, I would even say, industry disrupting plugin that has really made a huge impact in the nonprofit world. And, you know, I'm not going to say that WordCamp Orange County was responsible for that. I'm not even an organizer. For,
But you just did.
I didn't. I just didn't.
You did.
Rusted.
So one of my goals was actually to work for a WordPress agency. Most of you know I worked for a mortgage company. I hated working there. I walked into Plugin-A-Palooza. I had a plugin that I think solved the problem, and that, you know, that with Orange County and speaking, you know, kind of helped get me to where I am now. I love Plugin-A-Palooza for that, and you know, it's a good chance. We were just talking about this. Ben Loba and I from WDS, we were just talking about this, and Orange County is a good camp to go and meet a lot of people and like dive into that WordPress community. I definitely benefited from it, and Steve, thank you for that. You know.
So listen, I would love to accept responsibility, but I wasn't organizing the WordCamp when Plugin-A-Palooza came along. I was on the organizing team. I inherited a fantastic WordCamp, so I think we have to also acknowledge the people who came before me, like Dave Markowski and Brandon and Jeff and Robert Ninehouse.
Pixel Jar.
But they're not here. They're not here, so I can only thank you and Jen Miller.
so then, Russ, you're welcome.
Thank you.
But one of the things that is really cool about Orange County, and I know, for example, George, you wanted to talk a little bit about your Lancaster thing, but one of the great things about Orange County is I think it's one of those camps, kind of like Phoenix, kind of like Miami, that has its own flavor. And I think that WordCamp Orange County, which you can see with Plugin-A-Palooza, although it's definitely had somewhat of a business side through the business track and whatnot, I feel that Orange County is more than a lot of camps, very developer friendly, and not in a complicated way, but in that there's a lot of developers there, that the conversation is about the things you can build with WordPress and not just necessarily how to use WordPress. And I've always found that really inspiring from the camp. Here's that it's not on my birthday.
Yeah, so I mean, what I've been thinking of a bit was, WordCamps can be a bit more standard around. You go to one, you don't have an idea what to go to the others. And after parties are generally, you go to a place, the music is way too loud to comfortably hear people. There's booze provided. There's generally some sort of light fare food provided. And I've just been doing a lot of rethinking. And what I'm hoping to do this year for WordCamp Lancaster in the after party, I say hoping because I still need to double check with my other organizers on this, but my hope is to do something, a dry after party, so we're a bit more welcoming to folks that may not be comfortable being around alcohol, because we do want to be welcoming to the under 21 crowd, but something a little bit less welcome to the under 21 crowd, just basically have it be like, have it be like a pizza party, like the Max from Saved by the Bell. Get a bunch of pizzas, do it up loud, or not too loud, but friendly, like late 80s, early 90s pop music. Get some folks wearing like the leg warmers and so the scrunchies in their hairs and some slap bracelets, and see if we can get that vibe going and let people have a good time. And if they want to bring their own beer with them, okay, that's fine. But I mean, it would also free up a lot more funding for some really cool pizzas, sodas, snacks, that sort of stuff to really go with it, because we wouldn't be dropping as much on a bartender and booze.
You could have an ice cream soda fountain.
If you move WordCamp Lancaster to Vegas, it comes with your own bartender. I don't know if you know that.
All that aside, I think that this concept of rethinking the after party, developing what's happening with Plugin-A-Palooza, this is the internet. The internet time is so much more condensed. So 5 years, which is all of these WordCamps have really been developing over all of this time now. They all have a pretty hefty annual. Like, how long has WordCamp Lancaster been happening?
This is our 5th year.
It's fifth year water cooler. What about Orange County? It's like 7th year or something like that. Crazy.
This is our 9th.
9th. Wow, that is nuts. So like we're starting to see this evolution, kind of like with how we're evolving the water cooler format. It's like everything's kind of growing up a little bit. I remember the party that we all threw at your old offices, Steve, for WordPress turning 10. And then WordPress turned 15 and there was like nothing. It's like, we need to throw WordPress a Sweet 16 party.
We'll celebrate the 20th.
16. Quinceanera. Oh, no, wait, that's 15. I can totally count.
It'll be a dry party on the 21st.
It'll be a great time. But anyway, my point was I love seeing how these camps are evolving and, with their different organizers and whatnot, and really starting to try to meet the needs of this evolving ecosystem that we have happening.
One thing that was really fun and different, I think, about Orange County last year was we had that Sunday social. So after the 2 days of camp, everyone came together, and actually ice cream was a focus of the event, as well as other food. And, people just hung out and talked, and it was very casual and a nice way to kind of wrap everything up. So good job, Steve.
Thank you. We are actually trying to add something a little bit new every year, and we've got some surprises up our sleeve for this coming WordCamp.
You got surprises up your sleeve? What?
For this coming WordCamp.
This coming WordCamp.
I'm not telling anybody.
All right. Next week on the show, you'll hear it here. All the secret WordCamp Orange County stuff. Don't forget to tune in.
Quick thing to go back to regarding the dry after parties for WordCamps. I was looking on WP Tavern, and back in June of 2016, Jeff posted about how should there be WordCamp after parties that are alcohol free. Huge amount of response on there. I mean, he had 103 comments left on that, and there's a bunch of stuff posted about that. I remember a few other folks have posted about this sort of thing. Otto's posted about on Twitter at one point. Just quite a few different people have talked about this sort of thing on Twitter, and I think it's a really cool idea, and it's something that if you can pull it off, that would definitely be a really cool thing to see happen, George.
Yeah, I mean, there are, from our after party venue, there are enough like bars and liquor shops and everything within maybe a block that if someone wanted to go out and get a six-pack, bring it back and share with a couple friends, they totally could. But I feel that folks are going to enjoy it and probably have fun mingling regardless. So we'll see.
I know that when we had, there were a couple there was a WordCamp Phoenix, there was some WordCamp LAs where, there was alcohol left over. And it's like, that's not, even though that sounds like a good problem, that presents a problem for the organizers, but also speaks to the idea of, the waste. You're investing all this money in alcohol that may or may not even be drunken. And then what do you do with it if it's not consumed? Thank you. That's way better.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it's when you run a WordCamp, you have to have that money on reserve, right? Like you either pay a bar tab up front and you say this is the limit, or we'll pay it after the camp. But you're holding that money, and that's money that could be used to fulfill a better lunch or more coffee, or buses to get people who can't afford an Uber or ride share. There's a lot of other things, and I think alcohol could be taken out of the equation for the most part.
Yeah, and I totally agree.
One other thing that we're doing new this year at WordCamp Lancaster.
And that's from a guy from Vegas, by the way.
It's a free bartender.
You can put it into getting Coca-Cola instead of Pepsi.
I have a bartender right behind me. That's how I roll. But I'm just saying, that's coming from somebody who is in gambling and drinking all the time. I want to be around something different. That's why I go to different WordCamps, and I think we can extend that.
The other thing we're doing new this year is we're actually bringing in live captioning that a lot of other camps have been doing lately, to be a bit more friendly for folks that may have a harder time hearing. I know even just I can hear fine, but when I'm watching TV, it normally helps me because I'm very easily distracted to have subtitles on the screen. So hopefully it's something that might be useful, and it can also help us get the videos up to WordPress.tv a lot faster because the captioning will already be in place.
So
What's
we
the
actually
cost on that?
Sorry, go ahead, George.
For a 2-track event, I think it winds up coming to about 3,000 or so for all day, everything included. I don't quote me on that. It could be up or down depending on where you are. And I may actually have the number wrong in my own head, but that is something that the foundation is very encouraging of. And there's also, I think they were doing like an extra grant for us to cover that. So that's not something we explicitly had to fundraise for.
And that might be the booze budget.
Well,
that's awesome.
We added an extra organizer this year, Leo Postavoit, to be in charge specifically of accessibility and
Nice.
like captioning. So, yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Did we lose Say? Because it got very quiet in here.
She couldn't read the closed
Well,
caption.
she's stuck.
Oh, there she is.
Nope.
I think that if you're going to talk,
she's
can
back.
I say a couple words on that subject?
Yeah, go for it, Jim.
On Say? Or?
These are my 4 words. Yeah, the whole alcohol issue at WordCamp, we had the WordCamp LA, and I personally was a little disappointed by the after party. But in regard to the alcohol question, I think that it can be a first come, first serve where you can still provide that. Maybe if you have 100 people, you have 50 beers. It's like a first come, first serve. You go there. If you want a drink, you can come, you can get your drinks. You don't have to have this massive bar tab open to everyone. Now, what the LA WordCamp did well was they handed out tickets to people. That was the most wonderful thing I've ever seen. Don't give people 3 tickets. Have them go to one person and get their ticket. But limit it to a first come, first serve that gets people to come early so that everyone's together. And one of the problems I've seen mostly with the WordCamps is a lot of times, a lot of people will come toward the end. Some people will come toward the middle, and it's some sort of an unequal energy at times. So I would love to see that. And also this whole concept, I think the alcohol thing has a place, but it certainly can be limited. You don't have to blow your whole budget on it.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things too that, an after party is like held at a bar venue. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So you're going there with an expectation, and then you get there and it's like, oh, no drinking. I mean, it's a strange thing. It has to be presented well before the WordCamp. This is an alcohol-free WordCamp after party. Everyone knows that ahead of time, or it is a first come, first serve promotion.
Or BYOB. Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that's my say.
At Orange County, Steve, doesn't everybody get 2 tickets, Jason? Like that's
2 tickets to paradise.
You do, but a lot of people trade those around, don't use them.
Right.
There's often a lot of extras. Like
That's what I'm
it's
saying. Limited
People
to-
just hand me their tickets. So like that's why I did that at Dirty Nelly's one year,
right. Well, that's why Steve gets up on stage and does karaoke, is because he takes all the extra tickets.
Hey.
12 tickets to paradise.
I was just gonna say, like, Steve usually goes first for karaoke. So how many tickets does that mean he had before he goes first? I love when Steve does karaoke. So like that's by far the best part of Orange County.
So what about that net neutrality thing? I've been hearing about that.
Thanks for segueing for me, although that was a bit of a hard left, but that's okay. I just wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about net neutrality because, as you obviously probably know, it was ruled shut down by the FCC last December. However, the rules for that were just published to the Federal Register last Thursday. And Congress is now in a 60-day window where they can reject that ruling and basically restore net neutrality. So I had actually brought this up. I'm a member of the Consumer Growth Council, and I was talking with this about them just in terms of the possibility of, tying something to a campaign. And they had a really interesting, I thought, open source, net neutrality, Those things, very much go together. But they didn't seem too concerned about it, and I'm not faulting them for that. It's not necessarily what we're talking about. But I wanted to get your guys' input on that as people who obviously support open source, who work with the internet, who have all their clients. It's all totally dependent on that. One quick thing, next Tuesday is a day of action where you can tweet at, call, and do all that stuff to your senators to try to get them to get one more vote. But in general, I just kind of wanted to chat about it and see where y'all thought about it was, where it was, and that.
Well, first of all, I don't think enough people understand what this really means, right? What net neutrality means, and the whole label of net neutrality was written purposely to be confusing, in my opinion, right? So I think one of the recent ads that I saw that I thought was really important, which everybody should watch, is the Burger King ad, the net neutrality Burger King ad, which in a very funny way explains what net neutrality is and how it affects us, right? Politics aside, this is a very important issue for everybody that's working in the internet industry, right? It affects all of us. It affects all of our clients. So no matter what side you're on, you should take part in this one issue. If you don't take part in any issues, this is the one issue you should take part in, because it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it could have a real economic impact on our industry.
Absolutely.
Especially with WordPress, because WordPress is the software that's go-to all the time for building your own and hosting your own. And those are the sites that are the ones that will be impacted. Wix is going to pay the money to get, Wix's hosted sites, in theory, to go through. There's going to be much more of a push to go mainstream, to go on a pre-built platform if they're willing to, if they can say, oh, we'll get you on our, our high-speed track or whatever. And that takes the innovation, the community, and all of the stuff that we all do, and puts it at a real risk. Because why would people stay there if their stuff's not going to get out? They're going to have to migrate. It won't even be a choice of UI anymore. So why are we not more concerned?
That's a bit of an extreme view, but most certainly, if you got the money, you're going to get the speed. And I think really that's the bottom line.
Which is kind of against the ethos of WordPress and democratizing publishing, because the whole point, right, is that it's supposed to be opening up the ability to have the website and connect with the entire world. And what we saw is Comcast, literally on the day that the rules were announced last December, they changed their website. They were like, we're not going to throttle anything. We respect this. Right. That very day, they just changed their tune. So there's no reason whatsoever to believe these larger corporations that they're not going to do that. They're not even saying that anymore. And this is basically, we have one last chance to save net neutrality through the Congressional Review Act that's it's open right now. So if you care about this stuff, you can go to battleforthenet.com and get a lot of resources and information. The hashtag is one more vote, because we only need one more vote in the Senate to kickstart this process. So it's really important for all of us to talk about that. If we don't, we are hurting ourselves economically.
Literally.
Yeah, specifically WordPress people.
Yeah.
Specifically that, not just web developers, although also web developers and small business owners, but us, all of you, and all of you out there.
Or people like us that are actually streaming this stuff and using bandwidth to be able to stream this stuff. So yeah, definitely.
I mean, imagine trying to monetize something and you have the money for advertising, but now you need the money to get in front of the people just in order to advertise. It's going to be horrible.
Yeah, and there's no reason to think it won't be expensive, because look what's happened with Facebook advertising.
Definitely. And on that note, that is the end of the show.
Tuesday.
Thank you all very much for hanging out with us. Make sure you use that hashtag one more vote. That would be an amazing thing to see that happen, especially in the WordPress community. I want to say thank you all for being on the show and hanging out with us and everything. If you're interested in doing any type of sponsorships or anything like that, we're actually going to be doing a smaller sponsorship at the end of the show as well. So if you want to get in on that, you can go over to WPwatercooler.com/sponsor. You can learn all about those things there as well. Thank you very much, Jen Miller, for being our first sponsor this week. We really appreciate that. And you guys have a good rest of your day. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.